I got a 650 Royal Enfield. These bikes are built in India, and this is a fairly new model. I don't think you can even buy it yet, or it's just coming out. 650 twin. They called it an Interceptor, but now they're having a little issue with maybe Honda has that name, so they're calling it an Int, which is kind of weird, but I'm going to call it a Meteor, because Meteor was another Royal Enfield bike. It was a twin. Pretty cool bike. The rear tire on the 650 is a 130/70/18, which isn't a huge tire, but it feels nice. It's lightweight. You can go around corners on it. It's not like a big old wide gumbo. The rear drive is chain, which is good. I like a chain drive. It's simple. It's proven. It's been around a million years. Nice looking hubs and tube type tire, which isn't so great for touring, but you know, it's another thing that's been around 1,000 years. Nice adjusters built into the rear of the swing arm. I really like the way Royal Enfield has made this rear fender. It's like a little stubby custom fender. The back fender is plastic too, or very flexible metal. This taillight assembly is a lot like an old British bike. Look how nice and straight and clean the frame is. The frame almost looks like a custom frame. Look at the welds are really nice, and like on a normal bike you'll have little bits of splatter all over the place. Brake pedal is a little cruder than you're used to seeing. It could use a little sanding and some holes drilled in it, but I mean, it functions fine. It hooks to this nice little reservoir here. There's your brake reservoir, there's your master cylinder, and it comes back to this disc brake that is called a BYBRE. This bike has ABS front and back, and I don't really like ABS, but you might like it. If it was mine, I think I'd get rid of it. It's got a kind of coarse, I don't know how to describe it, but the anti-lock, it's not enough sampling rate. You see by this pattern, I did it out in the dirt, and I hit the rear brake and let it skid. This is what it does when you're standing on the rear brake. So you see that disturbed areas where it locked up, and then it unlocks to anti-lock, you know, let it roll, and then it locks up again and locks up again. But I think it needs a finer or a higher sampling rate. I'd like to see the anti-lock work 4 or 5 times per revolution. The front fender is a nice little short dude, painted silver, but it's got this fork brace across, which I like. And I think this is plastic, either that or very flexible thin metal. The whole look of it is great. Exhaust or 2-wall, really big. There's another tube inside there, but see how the chrome stays nice? Doesn't turn blue or anything. Also with these pipes, there's no ugly underneath muffler system like you get on most bikes. The header pipe comes out right to the muffler, and that's it. That's everything. There's no crossover. I'll show you underneath. See, there's nothing. It's just a real exhaust pipe like a real motorcycle has. Pretty darn cool. I like these. They look great. They're quiet. I wouldn't change a thing on these exhaust pipes. They're really nice. Really beautiful clutch cover casting, polished, nice little, looks like stainless Allen heads. It's just super well done. Up on the front you've got a big chrome headlight, and it looks beautiful. I don't know who made that. The headlight isn't spectacular, but it's good enough for what we do. Nice little cast headlight bracket to hold the headlight. All this is incandescent. Both the tach and speedo are electronic, so the needles are nice and steady. On the speedometer side of the 650, you've got a fuel gauge, a trip A, trip B, and a regular odometer. And then you reset your trip A, you cycle through the pages with this, and if you hold it down, you erase the miles on the trip meter. On the tach side, you've got a check engine light, high beam, a little battery indicator, an ABS indicator, neutral, and a low oil light. And this red line at 7,500, that's when it hits the rev limiter, so you're not going to get it past that red line, which makes you wonder why they even bother putting red lines on motorcycles anymore. The 650 has a really nice set of horns. Looks about the nicest, loudest horns I've heard on a stock bike. The switch gear is standard. You've got your high and low flasher. I don't know if you can see it. High and low flasher for like your passing. You got your low beam, high beam, your blinkers. You push in to disconnect them. You got the good horn that I told you about. It's a sweet horn. Over here you got your emergency shut off and your start button. And that's it. They look like pretty generic plastic switches, nothing fancy. I'm sure if you broke one, you could get a replacement on Amazon pretty easy. This rear grab bar comes in handy for strapping your gear down. The frame tube's pretty big, so a regular bungee hook won't quite go around it. You got to expand it a little bit, or I hook it here under the seat. The bike comes with rear passenger pegs, which is really nice because it's got a great long seat. You could take someone for a ride, and that's always good for your romance. The seat has a little latch under this side cover. You pull this and it opens the seat and it just pops right off. Here I believe is the brain for the fuel injection under the seat. This looks like a little fuse box right here, and probably this is for scanning. And here's your air box. It all looks really nice and neat in here. This frame looks really well done. It's like nice clean tubes. It's not a bunch of funky ugly looking brackets. Under the right side cover is a little thing with these rubber straps that I think the toolkit would actually sit in. And the battery is held in with a rubber strap here. I don't know if you can see it. Back in here's the battery. You would take this little toolbox holder off and this rubber strap, and I believe the battery will come out this side. This cover is held on with a little key thing. You just switch it on and off, and two little rubber dimples fit into these little pins right there. That pin and that pin. The clutch cable, instead of just running and looping around, has a pre-bent section which makes a nice curve at the handlebar, and it starts on the left side, crosses over to the right side, and goes to this pivot point here, and you can see it working. And that's also where your oil fill is. Your oil fill's right there, and there's your crankcase breather going to your air intake box right there. One of the things I really like about this bike is the quality of the frame welds, and the frame itself is just really clean, and a lot of nice straight tubes and a good sized diameter tube. And look at, like right here, look how just nice the welds are. It's this is a pre-production model, so maybe they did a really nice job of it. I hope the production models look this good. Look at these, look at this weld right here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's just nice. It's a really nice machine weld. The quality of this bike is really, really good as far as I can tell. I'm not a metallurgical engineer, but the darn thing looks good. The Interceptor on the both sides has these nice little heat shields, so your knee doesn't hit the fins, I guess, for some reason, or your pants don't melt. Although my knees won't quite reach it. Nice injectors that actually look like injectors and don't try and imitate carburetors. I like that. There's a pretty darn big oil cooler. See if I can focus in on that. It's almost the size of a little radiator. Right in the front underneath is the oil filter, which I usually don't like this because the tire can kick up rocks. I think if I had this bike, I would take an old filter and cut the housing off and then split it and put it over it with a hose clamp on the new one to try and give you like a double thick thing. Horizontally, see right here? Let me get in here and focus. It's horizontally split, which is a really cool idea for oil leaks, and you can work on the transmission without having to take the top end apart. Everything is tidy underneath it. It's a really good looking bike. Look at these welds. Let me get a focus on that. Look at the welds. They're just really clean and not all splattered. I like the hell out of it. The shifter linkage is nice and clean. I think I would raise it. It's a little too low to get my foot under it. So what's happening is when I shift up, but I don't let it all the way down so the ratchet can't grab the next gear. So I got to remember to put my foot down. I think I would adjust the peg up higher, especially if you're wearing boots or something like that. This side cover looks very British, and instead of cams rattling around in here, you've got a starter motor right here, and you've got a counterbalancer in the front. I imagine that's all driven under here with chains or gears. The rear shocks are remote reservoir. I don't see a brand name on them anywhere, and they have a cam type preload. They're on the softest setting now and they feel good, but as you add stuff, you got a lot of preloads, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus the one you start with, so it's 6 preloads. The only thing I see that might possibly adjust the damping or rebound is this little toggle here, or maybe that's where you fill it with oil. I haven't messed with any of this stuff because I don't want to break something, but that might be a rebound or something like that, or a compression adjustment. I've put about 700 miles maybe on the Royal Enfield Interceptor 650. It's a great bike. You're going to love it if you buy one. I hope the actual production models come out looking this good, because this is a really nice bike. In fact, I might buy one, but I'm too cheap. I'm going to wait 2 or 3 years till they come on the market used, and I'll pick one up then. But I just can't afford a brand new one right now, what with all the cement and concrete work I'm doing. He's smooth, quiet, fast. It's a well put together bike. You're going to love it.